preview is not available when recording. Well, poopy doopy. Okay, microphone is on. Lights are shining. Shine bright like a diamond. What's going on, guys? You're watching Mike, the musical vegan beast. And in light of my recent accomplishment of 100 subscribers, I decided let's have our first Q&A. Yay! Again, can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys give me, for helping me grow my channel, the viewership, the liking, the comment, the sharing, just all that good stuff so I can keep making those vegan and algorithm gains. So as you guys probably know, I put up a recent poll. That way you guys can ask me any and every question that you want. Doesn't matter on the topic or what have you, just anything that comes to mind. And yeah, I managed to compile 11 questions. I was going to go with only 10, just for time saving. But I decided, there's only 11, so let's do them all. And we're just going to knock them out one by one while I'm sipping down on my Owen Only What You Need protein shake. Having this because we're going to be hitting the gym a little later on today. So if anything looks a little different, it's probably just because of time constraints, because I've also got a gig pretty soon. I was at 2:10, so I'll have to be heading out pretty soon. So essentially what I'm going to do is just answer as many of these questions as I can. Anytime that I've got time in between projects and gym session, all that good stuff. And yeah, without any further ado, let's get right into it. It's good stuff. It's pretty sweet for having no sugar. 32 grams of protein. I could hear it right now. But plants don't have protein. Well, funny thing you should say that, because 63% of global protein supply comes from plants. So, suck it. Alright, question number 1. Decidedly Donna. Hey Donna. She asks, what or who inspired you to go vegan? So, the first guy, the main guy really, was Richard from Vegan Gains. This was back when the Game Changers came out, and, he made his video on it, going over the points of, the documentary itself, and then this was also when he was hashing it out with Greg Doucette, because Greg Doucette, he made some videos showing contention, and like, oh, it's biased and accurate and all that, so they were hashing it out for a fair bit, back and forth videos. And I wasn't too crazy about Richard at first. That seems to be the common reaction. But he really grew on me, because the more I started watching his content, the more I realized we actually have some stuff in common, Not even just baseline hobbies or anything, but just the fact, tell it like it is, keeping it real, and just trying to approach things as unbiased as possible, even if it's not in favor of your hypothesis or what have you, So I really started gaining a lot of respect for him in that aspect, and he made some really good vegan content, And he really made me question myself with my ethical position. It's like, if you agree with a lot of this stuff, if you believe certain things are wrong, it's why do you still partake in it? Why do you still pay for this orchestration of violence to keep happening, Why do you still keep yourself involved with that? Aside from this mental barrier where it's like, if I don't see it for myself, then I guess if I just avoid it, it'll be okay, right? It's like the inability to accept responsibility for your actions. And he just had a brutally honest way of telling it, And I had nothing but respect for that. And it didn't take me long to decide to go vegan. It only took me just a few more videos of just watching him specifically. And over time, I started looking into other guys too. And, I would say I've definitely run into some pretty cool vegans online, quite a few of which are actually subscribers, including decidedly Donna herself. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any other questions, just let me know. But essentially, around the time of the Game Changers, Richard, Vegan Gains, Greg Doucette hashing it out with each other, me looking more into his content, because at the time I was actually a Greg Doucette fan before he just completely went off the rails. I mean, look at him now. He's basically the ringleader of his own frickin' circus that he's responsible for and burns every bridge that he crosses. But whatever, I digress on that one. But essentially, discovered Richard, discovered his videos. Didn't take me long to just decide, you know what? I love and care about animals. There's no reason why I should be selective with that compassion. and I've been vegan ever since. And speaking of vegan games, PJ Venom 1985 asks, congrats on triple digit milestone, boyo. Thank you very much. My question is light and fluffy. What's your favorite 3 video game series and characters, and why? I got a pretty obvious one for you. Oddworld. I freaking love Oddworld, dude. You ever play those games? Let me know. Those games are just absolutely incredible. You know, Abe and Mullock the Moodakin. Munch was pretty cute. Just a lot of really cool, endearing characters. The Paramites, Scrabs, and Slogs. I just absolutely love those games. Those are among the first games I ever played on the PlayStation 1, was Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. Classic game to this day. I mean, yeah, the special effects, the graphics, they look a little dated now, but hey, it was a limited platform in the late 90s, so whatever. It still has this resonating impact with me because I was so drawn to the characters. I was drawn to like the very puzzle-oriented game design, and the cutscenes look really good for its time as well. I'm like, wow, those cutscenes are incredible. They look better than freaking special effects in a big budget movie like Spawn, and that came out the same year. And Spawn looks like a freaking video game from the 1980s, you know. But more importantly, I like the characters, the story, and a lot of the subtopics and themes going on. Definitely a lot of like very politically driven, spiritually driven themes. Just really interesting world building, and I just absolutely love that game. Abe's Exodus, I played that game so much as a kid. Like, it's a little shallow story-wise, Abe's Exodus. It feels a bit more episodic. But the gameplay is just so fun. It's basically the first game times 3, because there's 3 times more Moodakins that you gotta rescue. The first game you gotta rescue 99. In this game, you gotta rescue almost 300. So a lot of cool gameplay and levels and puzzles. And they introduced some new characters and like, twice the flavor. What if he gets to the boiler? Just lots of quotes that I like to say on a regular basis, you know. Just very endearing games. So even though the second one's a little shallow story-wise, it still resonates with me. Just excellent, awesome game. And I only say a bit shallow story-wise just because of the standard the first game set, you know? Like, ever since the first game, the games afterwards, they're not quite as serious, but they're also maybe a bit more fun. I don't know. That might be a little based, I guess. And even though I wasn't crazy about Munch's Odyssey, because the level designs are just very barren. There's a lot of grays and puke greens as far as the colors and whatnot. I still like the characters, the cutscenes were really cool, and it was a decent story. Again, if a bit shallow, but whatever, it's okay. Pun intended, because Munch is a fish. Yeah, that was a bit late with that one. Anyway, and if I had to pick any other video games or characters after that, I like the new Oddworld Soulstorm. That was a good game. I think it was better than people give it credit for. They were just focused on a lot of the bugs and whatnot. Maybe I'll actually record me playing it sometime. I don't know. Because I managed to find all the Moodakins in that game. There's 1,300, which is insane. But I didn't find every single secret. So I would like to, at least for closure and completion, I'd like to play that game again. I still have it on the computer. So, I don't know. If you guys are interested in seeing that, maybe I'll just make a video of me playing it. I don't know, it might be a mini-series, whatever. But as far as any other video games, I like the Spider-Man game from PlayStation 1 too. That was a lot of fun. Voice acting's really good in that game. Especially for like Venom and Carnage. I like their voices a lot. They were really cool. The game was pretty funny, had a good sense of humor. And Siphon Filter, that was a decent game. The one off PlayStation 1. I got a lot of PlayStation 1 games I absolutely love, dude. That's my all-time favorite game system, by the way. I also liked Spyro, the first 3. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly was just a nightmare. And it's such an ugly game, too. But whatever, nostalgia, Spyro, Purple Dragon, Tom Kenny, you know, the voice of SpongeBob voicing Spyro. But no, man, like, the first 3 games, they're fun. If I had to pick my favorite of the 3, I would say the third one. Just because more gameplay, more cool characters. That's the one I played the most out of the first 3. Even though Ripto was he was a cool villain. I know back in high school, I played a lot of Nazi zombies with Call of Duty Black Ops with my friends. That was always a good pastime. And I like to play Bloons Monkey City, Bloons Tower Defense. Those are some fun games. Still waiting on the sequel to Bloons Monkey City. I don't know if that's ever going to happen though. Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, the camera shut off, overheated a little bit. That's okay. Throw it on the charger. In the meantime, I brought out the Hero 9 because I was using the Hero 11 Mini before. So this will suffice. Anyway, to finish up the question, because we got pretty long answers. If I had to pick favorite arcade games, because I wanted to include that too, I had Miss Pac-Man and Dig Dug. Those are like absolute favorites. I used to live over by this arcade. It was a local arcade, and my brother's dad, he wasn't his dad at the time because he wasn't born yet, but was going to be. He would take me and my mom to that arcade, you know, like after school, around the evenings and whatnot, as long as I finished my homework. And I would just absolutely play the heck out of Dig Dug and Miss Pac-Man. I absolutely love those games, man. And Galaga was pretty good too. I like that one. There was another game. I had it for the GameCube, the Namco Museum Collection. There was another game on there. It involved like dragons and stuff. I forgot the name of it though. Like, is it Dragon Quest? Or, I don't know. I mean, if I could find it, I'll post it on the screen. But yeah, absolute favorite game series, Oddworld by a country mile. After that, it's whatever. You know, I'm not really a hardcore gamer, but any video games or characters that I've grown up with, the PlayStation 1, the GameCube, pretty endearing characters. Oh yeah, Legend of Zelda. How could I forget that, man? Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, The Wind Waker? That one's my favorite. I love The Wind Waker. Great games, too. And let's see, let's move on to the next question. So, question number 3. Ulf J? Is that how you pronounce your name? Ulf? Ulf J asks, do you play any other instrument other than the drums? So, I was learning acoustic guitar for a while. I haven't really stuck with it, but I might get back to it. I'd have to get a new acoustic guitar for that, but otherwise, I learned some chords and progressions and some scales, you know. And my guitarist buddy, he's really good at teaching guitar, you know, the semantics with the scales and whatnot. So next time him and I meet up, because him and I, you know, he's one of the main guys I've worked with before, and we do plan on eventually getting something off the ground. So stick around for that. Or should I say, stick around! Gotta throw one of those in there. But yeah, aside from that, no, I really just play the drums, you know? I've been playing that basically my whole life, right? I'm not like the world's greatest drummer or anything, but I never had really any formal lessons. I've just always been drawn to that instrument, and I've been playing ever since, you know? Just got that feel for the groove, you know? It's this sort of thing that you're born with or you're not, right? Like anybody can learn an instrument, but it's a completely different ball game when you're just drawn to it on like a spiritual level, like just a level that's deeper than just basic comprehension, you know? But yeah, aside from the drums, I am learning the MIDI keyboard. So that's this little guy right here. This has different functions, like if I put some different samples on it, I could play drums with the keyboard, I could play guitar with the keyboard. But I would have to take what I've learned so far and what I would still need to learn as to, you know, how to position my hands in conjunction with the keyboard to match up with the guitar, because you are technically supposed to play the guitar as if you were playing a guitar, but it's on the keyboard, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's a gradual process. Emphasis on gradual, but I'm sure I can make something of that too. Or just learn piano, synth, getting into that sort of stuff too. Again, slowly but surely. And let's see, you got another question here, Ulf. And that is your favorite bands/artists. Let's get the first one out of the way. You see that? Her? Yeah. She's my bae. Aside from that, I just like anything really. Just anything that I'm drawn to with my ear, anything that catches my ear. I'm predominantly a metalhead. You know, I'm one of those people. Yeah, metal! No. But yeah, I am predominantly drawn to metal. You know, I grew up on bands like Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica. Grew up on prog rock stuff like Genesis, Pink Floyd, some old hard rock like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. If I had to pick favorites, like genre per genre or subgenre per subgenre, I would say for heavy metal, probably Metallica. You know, I would say they're the goats in a lot of ways. Their newest album's pretty darn good too. 72 Seasons. Definitely give it a recommendation for sure. And for thrash metal, I would say probably Slayer, Exodus, Onslaught. Those are definitely heavy hitting contenders. Looks like timer's up. Oh yeah, that's my DoorDash timer. I do that. That way, anytime I schedule myself for some hours of availability, I don't want to lose those hours. You know, if it goes past 35 minutes that I take a break with DoorDash, they just end the dash altogether, which is like, it's lame. Well, whatever. Anyway, what was I saying? So, thrash metal, I'd pick Slayer, Exodus, Onslaught, maybe Pantera, some of my absolute favorites. I like some of the more obscure stuff too, like Heathen, Toxic, Intruder, Realm. Realm's probably my favorite out of those guys, for sure. And if I had to pick for hip hop, I'm not the biggest hip hop fan in the world, but there are songs sporadically from different artists that I like. You know, like I might like some 50 Cent, but I don't really like 50 Cent all that much. I don't listen to a lot of his stuff. But if I had to pick two, I'd probably go with Eminem and Beastie Boys. Those are some of my favorites. And Paul's Boutique is definitely one of the best hip hop albums of all time. No argument to be made against that. Just saying. And as far as like pop punk stuff, I'm into that kind of stuff too. I'd pick Fall Out Boy, Green Day, maybe Paramore. I think those are pretty easy picks. And of them, I would say Fall Out Boy is probably my favorite. I even like their poppy stuff. I actually think their poppy stuff, this is going to be controversial. I think their poppy stuff is actually better than their older stuff. Oh, the light went out. Turn back on. Okay. It's not full brightness, but that's okay. Based takes aside, if I had to pick just regular radio rock stuff you'd hear on like the rock station, whatnot, Nickelback, Maroon 5, they're pretty good. Nickelback, it's like everybody hates them just because they do everything that you would expect them to be. Like, they're a commercial radio rock band. We're not expecting Mozart from Nickelback. They might as well call themselves Mosback or something like that, you know? Anyway, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'd say those two are my favorites. Maroon 5, Nowadays, not really. I don't really dig the stuff they do anymore, but I like their stuff from like the early mid 2000s. You know, songs about Jane. It Won't Be Soon Before Long. Those are some good albums from them. And classic rock and metal, I'd pick Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin easily. To me, Led Zeppelin is the Beatles of the 70s. That's how I feel about them. I don't think there really was any other band of the 70s, at least looking at it retrospectively, because I didn't grow up in the 70s. I'm a 90s kid. I would say they were high and away the Beatles of their time, right? Like they were just a faithful successor to the Beatles, and I'd even say they were better than the Beatles. Again, probably a base take, but whatever, that's just me. My favorite album from them, Led Zeppelin, I'd probably say Houses of the Holy. That's a really, really good one. Their fourth one's good too. A lot of classics on that one, like Black Dog, Rock and Roll, and of course Stairway to Heaven, duh. Black Sabbath, I like their album Paranoid. That's generally regarded as their best, and it's not hard to see why. So many good songs on that one, you know. And if I had to go with like pop music, I'd probably pick, well, other than Ariana Grande, obviously, because you know me. I would probably go with Carly Rae Jepsen, Demi Lovato. Um, there's a couple others that aren't coming to mind. I might put them on the screen too. But yeah, those are two of my favorites as well. And if we're talking like progressive rock music, I know I mentioned Genesis and Pink Floyd earlier. Those are easy picks for me. I didn't like the Peter Gabriel stuff that much as a kid, but their material really grew on me. The early stuff of Genesis, because I grew up with the Phil Collins stuff quite a lot. Oh yeah, you could put him under radio rock, Phil Collins. Although he's a little bit of a scumbag. He's a little bit of a scumbag, but he's made some pretty good music, man. I got to give credit where credit's due. And aside from that, I just like anything that catches my ear. I might even listen to like some songs that are country, right? I'm not really a country music fan, but there are some songs I might sporadically listen to that are country. It's not that I think they're good in spite of being country. It's just I don't have any specific criteria when it comes to what I like with music. It's really just anything that catches my ear, you know? But I am more of a metalhead that's into pop music rather than a pop music fanatic who's into metal, if that makes any sense. But that might give you a general idea of some of the stuff I'm into. And let's see, we'll come up with some ideas. If you have any ideas, you could let me know in the comment section down below, and see what happens. Let's see, what else we got? Kenzie Glaspel asks, do you ever travel and work at the same time, like check out a new city for fun, but also dash? I have before. So, the first time I ever did that was back in, what was that, early 2021 or so? That was when I stopped working in sales, because when I retired from retail back in mid-2020, I switched over to gig work, but I didn't make the complete leap. So I took up a sales job at my gym. I worked there for about 7 months. And then afterwards, I just went all in with gig work, and I've been doing that ever since. And the first time that I went to a new city, it was Viera, Florida. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but it's one of the newer cities in Florida. It's wedged right in between Melbourne and Rockledge. It's like that little area that runs right in between them. And they're always developing that area. They're always building new stuff. It's a pretty densely populated city, so there's always potential for business that way. And when I used to drive a car doing gig work, I would go down there on the weekends to see how well I can do with work. But it wasn't really sustainable because I lived like 25 miles away, one way, right? It's a 50-mile trip to and from. And at the time, I was running a lot of dead miles doing that. Ugh, I know, the dead miles, oh my goodness gracious gravy. Yeah, I didn't do everything right as I should have, maybe, but I've also learned a lot from that process too. But it's a cool city, I would definitely work there again. I've even thought about living there someday. But if I had to pick the most advantageous place for me to work at and live at, it would probably be maybe Winter Park, Orlando. From what I hear, that's arguably the best city in Florida to do dash work. You know, just like gig work, dashing, whatnot. So I've thought about that. And other areas around there, there's like Alafaya, Oviedo. Those are Union Park. Those are considered decent places to work too. I have visited there, and there definitely are lots and lots of places to work at around there as far as getting gigs. And GoPuff is there too, in Oviedo. So that's a consideration, even though I don't think they're doing so hot from what I've been told. I keep up with that one YouTuber, Your Driver Mike. He was making update videos about GoPuff and how they're not doing so great. They're closing down a lot of stores and whatnot. It's like, I don't know. But I might try it one time because I do technically have an account with them. But they don't have a warehouse here where I live right now. So, I don't know. But in order for me to go back to these places, realistically, I'd have to get a rental car. And I was thinking about either using the rental car to do the work in those areas, or if I get maybe like an SUV to rent, which would only be a little more than a compact car, I could bring my bike to the area, and assuming that I find somewhere that I can park for an extended period of time, maybe I can just ride the bike around as much as possible, depending on the volume of work, and then have the car take over, maybe. I don't know. I do have plans for something like that eventually, maybe this upcoming year, depending on how things go. So, yeah, I'd say stay tuned for that. But I hope that answers your question. And speaking of question, Kenzie has another one, which is, do you have two bikes you use or two different batteries? How do you stay charged all day? So my current setup with my bike, it's the Victrip Titan. It comes standard with a 48 volt 32 amp hour battery. The company claims that in the lowest settings for pedal assist or full assistance, which is either pedaling or the throttle, you can get 100 miles pedaling or 60 miles with the throttle in the lowest settings. If you use the higher settings, you can expect to get less. But still, that's not too shabby, and from my own testing, that is an accurate claim. And that in of itself is plenty of power. It's plenty of range for most days, especially slower time periods like right now. But I do have a second battery hooked up to it. It was from my previous bike. It was the Luck Keep. The Luck Keep came with a 48 volt 15 amp hour battery as well. And the company claims that I can get 35 miles in the full assistance lowest setting, or 50 miles pedaling in the lowest setting, which is not accurate. They definitely overblown that claim, because from my own testing in those settings, I can only get like 25 miles with the full assistance in the lowest setting, or 40 in the pedal assistance. But still, it's hard to really complain. It's an extra battery, because I've got them both hooked up at the same time, because I have a dual connector that allows me to run both batteries simultaneously. And it's really best to just run them both at the same time, because it uses power at the same rate, even though the amp hour sizes and capacities are different. And that's important to make sure that your voltages are the same. That way you don't run into any like electric circuit issues and whatnot. But combining them both, I should expect to get the range of each combined. So essentially, one of my earlier vlogs, I was able to get 130 miles, give or take, based on 1 bar of power. Because before it turned down to 4 bars out of 5, I managed to get just a smidget over 26 miles. And that was with the front light on, because it was at nighttime. So I don't know, I might actually be able to get just a little more mileage out of it. But still, that's really not too shabby. That's like triple or even quadruple what most electric bikes are capable of. So I got plenty of power to spare. And throughout the day, I'll do like microcharging anytime that I have any dead space or dead time in between gigs, or if I'm just coming back home not really doing anything, I'll throw them on the charger. The bigger battery does take longer, but that's because it is a bigger battery. They charge at the same rate, but you can expect one battery to charge more quickly because it has a smaller capacity. And overnight, I get them both charged up. But honestly, I don't really need to do the microcharging. I get plenty of power just without it. But I do so just to get the most out of it, you know? And especially anticipating the busier times of the year, which is coming up, I figure it's not the worst precaution in the world. But yeah, I don't have both bikes. I disassembled the older bike, the Luck Keep. I'm currently selling the frame, the fork, and the rims, a couple other pieces as like a one piece. And there were some other good parts, like the motor itself. I took the motor off, and the motor controller. I'm just going to use those for spare parts for my Victrip, because that bike is here to stay. And let's see, question number 8. Speaking of delivery work, No Low Plant Powered asks, great gym content. How do you feel about picking up food for Carnists? Do you feel like it's enabling and kind of anti-animal rights? This is a sincere question, not trying to catch you on anything. Well, No Low, I do appreciate the caveat there, because the last person that tried to come at me with that sort of discussion, let's just say it's best not to cast stones from glass houses. And I wrote a bunch of notes here, so I'm just going to be reading off of them, because I didn't want to miss any points to answer this question. Because that is a good question, and I can understand the angle that you're coming from. And it's not like I haven't thought that myself. I mean, of course I would, you know. I made a short a while ago on whether or not delivery drivers can be vegan doing delivery work, in spite of the fact that they have to go to non-vegan restaurants, pick up non-vegan food. And my answer to that was yes, you can be, and you are vegan, even if you're delivering this type of product. Because it's not just food either, it's also just anything that involves the exploitation of animals. And the reason why I said yes is because the delivery driver has no say on the process of the order. When we are sent offers and opportunities for work, the damage has already been done. We have no say on what the customer decides to order online through DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Shipt, Instacart, Spark, GoPuff, etc. And we have no say on the process of the exploitation, killing of these animals, and what the factories and farms and restaurants and stores decide to do with their excretions and remains. And you have no say in what you deliver. The damage has already been done, right? That's the main problem, is by the time we're sent the offer, the damage was already done. You can't take that back. You can't do anything about it. You have no say on what was already done. But in spite of that, there is a way around it. So I don't know how much of my content you watch specifically, but you might notice that while I'm shopping inside of a store, if I have like a grocery order or if I'm picking up at a specific restaurant, I'll provide resources either on the screen or in the link of the description that shows you, hey, instead of going for this next time, here's resources to help you and your family and friends go vegan, and here's guides on how you can eat vegan while you're out. Here's a guide on, instead of getting this kind of nail polish that's tested on animals, or getting this kind of floor cleaner, or deodorant, or specific food that involves testing of animals, that involves any kind of exploitation of animals, instead of that, go for this next time. I have to be careful with my boundaries with that, not because of my own inhibition, but because if I leave any specific resources with a customer's order, that is a contract violation, because as an independent contractor, you have to sign a contract agreement. And that does unfortunately fall under the guidelines of soliciting. If you leave a card that says like, watch dairy is scary, or, oh hey, instead of this, how about you go for this next time, or here's resources to help you and your family and friends go vegan. But it's not a contract violation if I make a video, right? Like how I make a video that showing the guides and the resources on the screen. That's sort of my loophole around that. So I can still do my vegan advocacy in spite of the job itself, right? I can't undo the damage that's been done, and it was already done way before I was even sent the offer. But this advocacy can help for next time. I can't prevent what already happened, but I can help prevent something from happening next time. And that's really the best I can do as an independent contractor in that sense. And I'll probably have to make another video just to go a little further into this stuff, right? Because I'm just coming up on the spot and based on my notes with these responses. So hopefully I don't miss anything. And I hope that gives you a general idea of my perspective, where I'm coming from. I mean, you can apply that same logic to waitresses, cashiers, stock clerks, even butchers to a degree, right? Like, the only thing you're doing is performing the labor that is expected of you, that you need to be compliant with based on whatever agreement you have. You didn't cause the damage itself. And I don't believe you're glamorizing the fashion because you don't have a choice in what you're delivering. You don't have a choice in the labor that you're performing. Like a cashier that has to check out dairy milks and has to check out deli meats and cheeses, Even if the cashier's against that, they can't just not check out the customer. We know it doesn't work that way. Or the waitress that has to hand over the steaks and potatoes and green bean meals over to the customer, in spite of the fact that she doesn't condone the cows being exploited. And okay. Alright, looks like we're good. The other camera overheated too, because GoPro hasn't figured that out yet. But oh well, this camera looks nicer anyway. So let's move on. Anyway, just a quick summary, previous question. I know that I have a tendency to go on and ramble, especially when I'm winging it with my answers, but it's me just trying to be as thorough as possible, as concise as possible, right? But yes, no low, plant-powered, you can be vegan, and you are vegan as a delivery driver, even though you are delivering non-vegan stuff to non-vegan people. The main reason, you have no say in the process that's already been done. You have no say in what you deliver, and the only thing we can do is to emphasize the point of supply and demand, offer the resources, recommendations in any way that doesn't directly violate the guidelines of the contract agreement you sign as an independent contractor, and really just advocate the message to the best of your ability, within your capabilities, without compromising your job, to the best of your ability, right? Because even if we live in a vegan world, vegans are still going to order groceries and takeout, right? It'll just be vegan groceries, vegan takeout, vegan parcel, and just emphasizing the point of supply and demand, right? That is where a lot of it is. We talk with our wallet. Money talks. It's true. Money makes the world go round, for better or worse. And the more we emphasize that point, as well as why people go vegan, right, we'll get more people to go vegan. At least that's what I'm hoping. But that's really the best I can do when I'm actively on work, right? It's fair game anywhere else, anything else, but on the job, as it is, I can only do so much without violating the contract agreement I sign as an independent contractor. Same thing if you're a W-2 worker, you work at a non-vegan workplace, you check out non-vegan customers, non-vegan food, non-vegan parcels, etc., etc. So yes, you can still be vegan. You have no say in the process. The damage has already been done. The best thing you can do is to offer the resources, recommendation, advocacy of any kind that may help prevent the process next time. So I hope that answers your question. I might touch on that in a separate video at a later time. And let's see. Question number 9. Ulf has another one. And let's see. Explain your modified bro split and other splits that you like. So when he asked me this question, all I was really doing as a modified bro split, it was essentially just cutting a 6-day PPL in half, but just making up the difference with the volume between 2 days. So just adding a little more volume on that 3-day split that you have, if that's the only 3 days that you go to the gym for. That would be one way to do it. So essentially, if you got push, pull, leg, then just try to compile as much of your push in the push day, as much of your pull in the pull day, as much as your legs in the leg day, to try to make up the difference. And there's ways you can do that, right? You can pick the less taxing variation, right? Instead of deadlifts where you pull directly off the floor and squat with a barbell in the same day, get wrecked, you can just do RDLs instead. Or maybe you can pick the hack squat machine or the leg press machine, just to manage your CNS, your central nervous system, managing fatigue, volume, intensity, all that sort of stuff. Let's see. And as far as my actual split right now, it is a 6-day PPL. But that's really more about the frequency and just going to the gym as much as possible, because I'm on the go quite a lot, right? If I'm not at home getting my editing done with whatnot, trying to set up certain aspects of my life and future, I'm on the road, right? I'm on the go one way or another. And sometimes these days, they just fly by way too quickly. And I'm like, where's the time, That's how I feel about this video right now. I'm supposed to be heading out pretty soon. But anyway, 6-day PPL is what I'm doing right now. And it's really me just picking a primary exercise each day and then some kind of really good secondary movement to follow up with that. So one day I'll do barbell bench, and the other day I'll pick like an overhead press with a barbell or a Smith machine, whatever. And then I'll pick the dumbbell variation or maybe a cable variation of those exercises and just put them in the secondary order of the different days. So if I decide to do shoulder press with dumbbells, I'll pair that up with the barbell bench day. And if I decide to do barbell overhead press, I'll do the dumbbell bench that day. That's just to help out with managing fatigue and, just how taxing some of these exercises can be if you do them in tandem with each other, right? Like, you can get away with doing barbell bench and barbell overhead press in the same day, but I wouldn't really recommend it because if you're trying to get really good at both, then they should have their own dedicated day, right? That's entirely based on your goals. And after I do the primary and secondary movements, I'll just follow it up with my choice of accessory work. Like maybe I'll do dumbbell flies for pecs or the pec deck machine. I like that one. I might even hit rear delts the same day that I do chest or shoulders or tries. Just because the shoulders can take a lot of volume, right? And they can handle a pretty decent amount of intensity. The shoulders, for whatever reason, they can just hyper respond really well to training. They're kind of like biceps in that aspect. You don't have to worry as much about overall volume of those specific muscles. Like your quads might tire out with like 10 sets per week, but your shoulders can maybe handle more than that, right? Now that's individual based, that's genetic based, whatever. It could also be dependent on your volume and intensity for your training. But otherwise, from my experience, my shoulders can handle a decent amount of volume. So I don't really mind if I'm training the same part of the shoulder back to back, right? If anything, the frequency is potentially beneficial when it comes to muscle protein synthesis. So that's what I'm currently running, just a 6-day PPL. Shoulders and back, they get quite a bit of work because they can handle it. And I've kind of eased off the gas pedal a bit with legs just because I've already hit my lifetime goal with squats, right? Right now I'm just focusing on different aspects like just maintaining my mobility and improving my mobility in any way I can and maintaining whatever muscle mass that I've been able to build in my lower body and whatnot. And my deadlifts, they hang on quite well. I seem to be pretty good genetically with deadlifts. And I've hit some decent numbers in my life with that one. And we're just getting back in the swing of deadlifts too. But I don't pull off the floor more than once per week. Again, just fatigue management. I might follow it up with good mornings or RDLs on the second day. Because if you're pulling off the floor twice a week, it's like you never have to do that unless you compete in a specific sport where you have to perform that movement, right? Powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting. But otherwise, to the general public, just anyone that wants to get bigger and stronger but not kill themselves doing it, I would say only pull off the floor once a week. So that's what I do. Squats once or twice a week, that's fine. Upper body, do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But I've also done 3-day full body splits. They're pretty fun, but man, they take a long time to finish. And I've got time constraints with my lifestyle, so it's not a very practical choice for me. And 4-day upper-lower splits are pretty good. I would say that might be the best all-around split for the general population, maybe. Either that or 6-day PPL. It really depends. But those are nice splits. You can pair them up as either separating your pushing and pulling on different days, or you can separate upper and lower on separate days. If you do the first one, you can bench press and squat the same day. Like maybe barbell squat, dumbbell bench, or you can do goblet squat, hack squat, and then barbell bench another day. Your pushing is on separate days. And then pulling, you can pair up your back and hamstring work like deadlifts, good mornings on dedicated pull days. Or just do upper push-pull, lower push-pull. Either one will lead you, either one is going to work. Really just depends on your goals though. I like the first one a little better between them just because I feel like I'm teaching my body how to push in unison or how to pull in unison. Even though they both work effectively, either way that you do the split. So hope that answers your question. And let's see, you got another one here too. Do you ever do hammer curls? I love them with dumbbells or with one rope or two rope on a cable machine. Crossbody hammer curl with one rope really hits my biceps hard. Oh, excuse me. Hammer curls, they're fine. I haven't really done them lately because I care just a little more about the biceps themselves. I feel like as long as you're not pulling with straps, you're getting plenty of work with your forearms. And that would be the main reason why I would do hammer curls, is mainly for the forearms. You know, that brachioradialis muscle that's right out here. And the brachialis to a lesser extent. That's right in between the bicep and the tricep. It's like right here. But other than that, never really did rope curls. I might have to try that sometime. But my favorite curls are usually with a barbell. Maybe a cable curl with like the barbell attachment. I like those ones a lot. And let's see. All right, 10% battery life. I gotta wrap this up. Let's see. The next question. This is the last question, and this is also from Ulf. I want to have an arm day on my next workout routine, but I want to hit the rest of my body twice as well. Tips. So I did write some notes. First one, maybe you can go for a 4-day upper-lower split with 1 day in between them as a rest day. Days 1 and 2 is part 1 of the split. Day 3 is your first rest day. So 1, 2, 3, this is rest day. Then days 4 and 5 are part 2 of the split. So upper, lower, rest day in between them. Then you can take day 6 and 7 off. Or maybe on day 7, you can have that as a dedicated arm day. And that shouldn't really interfere, even if it's following right before upper, lower, day 1. You know, that should be fine. You could just do that. Just have a dedicated arm day, maybe on a separate day from your 4-day upper lower. You could also, I didn't write this down, but you could also, if you do like a full body program, maybe you can skip the 3rd full body day and have that as your arm day, and then have the other, so in other words, it would be a 2-day full body split with a rest day in between, then have the arm day, then rest day, and then proceed with these 2, and then so on and so forth. So that might be a consideration too. You could also prioritize training arms sooner in the session. So maybe instead of, I don't know what your program is exactly, but let's say that hypothetically you... Alright, we're back. The camera shut off again, but I was charging this one while the other one was recording. So I think we got some time, and I gotta hurry it up. I'm running just a little behind as far as a gig that I need to get finished, or get started, because I haven't started yet. Anyway, let's go. So, what I was saying, as far as the split, you want to add arms in your routine. You can either have a dedicated arm day, like maybe do 2 full body days with a rest day in between. Then the 3rd day, instead of a 3rd full body day, you could do a dedicated arm day. And maybe you can throw in shoulders that day too. So it's kind of like full body training-ish, but you're only selecting certain muscle regions, like arms and delts. You could do that. I think that's a good idea. I would also say just prioritize your arm training to have it sooner in the program per day. So if you got like a 4-day split, maybe instead of the primary, secondary, then accessories, you can do the primary, then head straight to arms. And if your arms aren't too tired out, then you can head into your secondary exercise and then carry on. That might be a good idea too. So having a dedicated arm day with full body training, or prioritizing how soon you train your arms in your specific sessions if you do upper lower. And if you do PPL, you can do the same thing, just prioritize triceps ahead of chest. Like if you do bench press, then do tricep accessories, then carry on if you do like 6-day PPL. Not exactly sure what your program is, but those might be my recommendations. Dedicated arm day, or just train your arms sooner in the session. I would also say, I don't know if you superset, that might be a good idea too. And depending on how tired your muscles might get, like let's say you can handle a lot of frequency and a lot of volume with your biceps, maybe you can train biceps back to back. So if you're training triceps on your upper lower push day, then you can just superset like skull crushers or overhead tricep extensions with like cable curls or whatever your favorite curl variation is. So supersetting bis and tris, you could do that too. And the same could also be applied, like if you can handle a lot of frequency with your triceps, maybe you can train triceps on your pull days too. So that way you're getting that frequency, which can be beneficial for muscle protein synthesis. So that would be my recommendations as far as arm day. And yeah, honestly, just talking about this stuff kind of makes me interested. Maybe I can do like coaching as a perk for Patreon or something. I don't know. I actually used to do coaching. I think I still have my plaque. Let's see if I can find it. I couldn't find it, but I'll post a picture of it on the screen. I applied to be a personal trainer with NASM. I actually did that for about 3 years or so. I also did nutrition coaching, behavior change specialization. So that was kind of cool. I kind of thought about doing it again, but if I do, it might be online, or maybe it would be like remote coaching or something. I don't know. But to be honest, I didn't really love it. That's why I didn't stick with it. I didn't really love it, even though I was pretty good at it. I was at least knowledgeable and had a good eye. That was what some of my clients would say about me. I had a pretty good eye for things and decent knowledge. But then again, I'm just a mod, a Discord mod behind a computer screen, so I know everything, right? Well, I think that's a wrap on all the questions. So, hope that answers your questions, guys. And I had a pretty good time just answering them, and you guys getting to know a little more about me, and maybe me getting to know a little more about you. And yeah, I'd be down for another one of these again. So if you have any other questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. And I'll create a community post at some point too, where you can specifically put those questions at in case any of them get lost. But as you guys might know, I'm pretty good about responding to comments as promptly as I can. So just keeping up with that. And I don't want to lose that even if I continue to grow as a content creator. Still want to keep up with you guys and have that sense of community that the guys like Mr. Beast or anyone in the millions and millions and millions of subscribers, they just sort of lose out on, I don't really want to lose out on that. So I'll try to keep up with that stuff as best as I can, And like I said, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you give me. You're watching my videos, you're liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. You're doing all that good stuff so I can keep making those algorithm and vegan gains. And on that note, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you get notified the next time I upload. If you're interested, check out my link tree. You can support me on Patreon, buy me some coffee. You'll see my affiliate links for Stash, Uber Shipped. You can work, get paid, save some money, make some money. There's resources to help you and your family and friends go vegan. And I don't know, you might find something interesting over there. Quick shout out to my subscribers. Can't thank you guys enough. I know I keep saying it, but I really do mean it. I don't always have the easiest time wanting to just keep making these videos, especially at the frequency I do. But at the same time, I'm battling that and battling complacency and also wanting to uphold my passion for things that I used to do a lot, that I haven't done as much for years and years and years, that I have a rejuvenated sense of joy for. And you guys have definitely helped with that a lot, and I just can't thank you enough, and I really appreciate it. I love you guys, and I appreciate the support, and I'll see you next time. Take care.